Hello guys, NoppleTimes here, welcome to a new video, and today I have a very exciting video. As the year comes to an end, we're gonna see every single product that Apple released in 2019. So this is gonna be a long video because Apple released so many things, so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so this year we had three events. We had an event in March that was focused on services. We had an event, of course, in WWDC that was focused on software, which I'm not gonna talk about today. And we had an event in September that was the iPhone and Apple Watch event. So yeah, first, before the event in March, Apple released quite a few things under the hood. So the first thing was the iPad Mini 5. The iPad Mini is still alive. It had the same chassis as the old one, which means it has the same 7.9-inch screen. It also has support for Apple Pencil, an 8-megapixel camera, the A12 Bionic chip, and starts at $399. On the same day, Apple released the iPad Air 3, which is kind of a mid-tier option between the cheapest iPad and the iPad Pro. And this one featured a 10.5-inch, which is actually pretty much the same chassis as the 10.5-inch iPad Pro. Also has Apple Pencil support, of course, for the first generation, and A12 Bionic chip, the same 8-megapixel camera from the iPad Mini, which is a downsize from the 12-megapixel camera that the 10.5-inch iPad Pro has. And it also lacks the 4-speaker system that the iPad Pro has. It starts at $499 and it's actually a very good option at that price. I actually unboxed it in this channel, so if you wanna see it, you can click the card right here or here. I never know where it is. I still have to learn it. But the card will be here and there will be an end screen at the end of the video. Next was the iMac Refresh, which has absolutely nothing new but a new 8th generation Intel processor. And then came the long-awaited AirPods 2. These new AirPods featured the H1 chip, which enables for faster connectivity to your devices and everything, and also for Hey Siri. Furthermore, there's a wireless charging case option, but you have to pay an extra $40 or $50 to get it, and the starting price for the non-wireless charging option was the same $160, and for the wireless charging it's $200. Furthermore, if you buy it on Apple's online store, you can personalize your engraving and maybe engrave your name or something like that on the case. Then there was this event and Apple announced 4 new services which were released scattered throughout the year. But the first one to be released was Apple News Plus, which is a new service where you pay $9.99 a month and you get access to a lot of magazines with their publications. It's available in Canada, Australia, the UK and USA. And because I'm not in any of those countries, I have not tried it, but there is a 1-month free trial. Finally, to finish March, Apple finally confirmed that AirPower is never going to exist and will never be released. Then April was a very quiet month, but then in May the storm came again. And Apple actually released the Powerbeats Pro, which were the first truly wireless earbuds from Beats. And they feature the same H1 chip that the AirPods 2, plus the in-ear design that gets a better fit. You also have customizable ear tips, of course also Hey Siri and faster connectivity, and they go for $250. Also in May, the MacBook Pros got refreshed with 8th generation Intel processors, and we also saw the iPod Touch 7th generation, which is pretty much exactly the same as it was, but it now has an A10 Fusion chip, so it's better for gaming and for Apple Arcade that we will talk about later. The starting price for this iPod Touch is $200. Then in July, the entry-level MacBook Pro was really bumped up, and for the same price of the entry level, you got a lot more, including a touch bar. All models of MacBook Pro have a touch bar now. And not only the MacBook Pro, but also the MacBook Air got a refresh with the 8th generation Intel processors. Then in August, Apple introduced the Apple Card that was also announced at this services event in March. And it is basically a credit card, which is all done by the Wallet app. You can pay using Apple Pay, of course, and for those places that don't accept Apple Pay, you get the Titanium card. It also offers different daily cashback options, and for now it's only available in the US, sadly, because I really want it. Okay, then is September, and as you all know, September is always Apple's big month when they release new iPhones, new Apple Watches and blah blah blah, and this year was no exception. So we got two different models of iPhone, the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max. And yeah, we'll start with the iPhone 11. So the iPhone 11 is a successor to the iPhone XR, and it features the same 6.1-inch display, but now with an A13 Bionic chip. Just like the iPhone XR, it's available in 6 colors, however there are 2 new ones, which are green and lavender. But probably the highlight of this year's iPhones, not only the 11 but also the 11 Pro, are the cameras. In the case of the 11, besides the normal camera, you get an ultra-wide camera, and both cameras feature a night mode for photos, which takes basically long exposure photos. There is also a slow motion front-facing camera to take slow films, just like they call them, and up to 1 more hour of battery life. Furthermore, there is the U1 chip for spatial awareness, which is pretty obscure and didn't get any time at all in the keynote, but I'm sure Apple has some really exciting things planned for that. Also, surprisingly, Apple dropped the price of the iPhone 11 compared to the XR, and it now retails for a starting price of $699. Next is the iPhone 11 Pro, which has the same things that the iPhone 11, plus a few more. These other things are a telephoto lens, which joins the other two, having a 13mm, a 26mm and a 52mm lens. It also has a Super Retina HDR display and up to 5 more hours of battery life, which is insane. Furthermore, it's water resistant up to 4 meters for 30 minutes, and it starts at $999 for the iPhone 11 Pro and $1099 for the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Then was the Apple Watch Series 5, which is pretty much the same as the Apple Watch Series 4, but it now has an always-on display, a compass, and new materials for the cases, including the new titanium and the comeback from the ceramic. The last piece of hardware announced in that event was the iPad 7. This iPad 7 is the lowest entry model, which features the same ATEM Fusion chip than the previous one, but it now has a 10.2-inch display, and it also has the option for a smart keyboard. It starts at $329. And the last thing for September is Apple Arcade, which is the third out of 4 services that Apple announced in March, and it's basically a gaming service. So you pay $5 a month and you get access to hundreds of games and new games that launch every week, and you can play all of them with no in-app purchases or anything. Now we're getting close to the end of the year, in October, and Apple released what's probably my favorite product of this year, which are the AirPods Pro. These feature a brand new design with the same H1 chip as the AirPods 2, wireless charging included, and a lot of new features, including active noise cancellation and transparency mode, which lets you hear from outside. It also has a force sensor for controlling playback and switching between modes, and with this new design comes a customized fit with ear tips. Just like the Powerbeats Pro, it retails for $50, which is pretty reasonable considering that the wireless charging AirPods 2 cost $200 and this one has a lot of more things. Then in November, actually November 1st, the very last service that Apple announced in this keynote was released, which is Apple TV Plus, which is probably the most exciting one of all of them. It's kind of like a Netflix, and it launched with about 7 shows, but new ones are added every single month. The main ones are The Morning Show, See, and For All Mankind. I've personally seen the first season of For All Mankind, and I can say that it's very, very good. As of now, all of the content is Apple Original, which is produced by Apple, and it costs $5 a month, but if you have the Apple Music for Students subscription, you can get it for free, and if you buy an iPhone, an iPad, a Mac, or an Apple TV, you will get 1 year for free, which is a very good deal. Also in November, Apple released the 16-inch MacBook Pro, which is also probably in the top of my favorite Apple products for this year. This new MacBook Pro features so many new and old things, but it's probably the best MacBook that Apple has ever done. It's replacing the 15-inch MacBook Pro, and it has a bigger screen with smaller bezels, but actually the whole footprint of the laptop is also bigger. It can be configured with up to 8TB SSD, 64GB of RAM, and an 8-core Intel i9 9th generation processor. It has brand new speakers and studio quality microphone according to Apple, and a new keyboard mechanism and layout, getting rid of the problematic butterfly keyboard and going back to before. And now the new layout features a physical escape key and an inverted T layout for the arrow keys. It also packs the biggest battery you can carry on a plane at 100 volts and starts at $2,400. Finally, in November, Apple released the smart battery case for the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max. And this wouldn't be much of a deal, except that it includes one new feature that the others didn't have, which is a camera shortcut button. Just basically a button that you press in the case and will take you straight to the camera no matter in which app you're at. And we're getting to the end here as we arrive to December. In December, Apple released the Mac Pro and the Pro Display XDR that were announced in the WWDC this year. So the Mac Pro is basically a beast, the most powerful computer by far that Apple has ever made. It has a brand new design that's highly customizable, and it starts at $6,000. Yes, $6,000. However, it's customizable up to 28 cores, 8TB SSD, 1.5 TB of RAM, and 128 video memory with 2 Radeon Pro Vegas as of now, but there's more options that will be added soon. And this will cost you $54,000. And that's without taking into account the display. To go with this beast, Apple announced also a beast display, which is the Pro Display XDR, and this is actually great. It's a 32-inch 6K monitor, which goes up to 1600 nits of peak brightness with a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio. It has 10-bit color depth and a P3 white color gamut, True Tone display, and the option to get a nano coating thing, nano texture glass for anti-reflectiveness. And of course there's the infamous $1,000 Pro stand, which is actually good to hold it and also gives you the option to put it in portrait orientation. This Pro Display XDR starts at $5,000 without a stand. So yes, this has been everything that Apple has announced in 2019, again, not counting all the new software versions such as iOS 13, blah blah blah. And yeah, what do you think? What's your favorite Apple product or service that Apple announced this year? What did you buy? What do you have? Please let me know down below in the comments. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more Apple related content coming every week. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, as it was quite a bit of work to make it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!